Hey guys, it's Bryony, long time no see. So, it's been a while since I've done a video. Part of that's because I've been really busy, just with life in general. But part of that's been because, as you can tell from the title of the video, I've been struggling a bit. One of the things I've always been really big on with my YouTube channel is to be sort of open and honest with you guys and show reality to life that I think can be missing from a lot of YouTube these days. It's so much sort of, I don't know if fantasy is the right word, but it feels fake. A lot of YouTube feels fake, which is a bit sad because it used to be really great back in like the 2013, 2014 when I started. It was a really different environment, and it is because so many people now like create their livelihoods from it, and I'm not dissing that at all. You know, everyone's got to make their money somehow, but yeah, it's something that's always been really particular to me is I've always wanted to be open and honest and have that realism in my channel. So I thought this would be an important video to do, to talk about how I've been struggling, and some of you might be able to relate to this as well, because I think a lot of us are struggling at the moment with the uncertainty in the world and everything, and I don't know, maybe this could be helpful. So, I should just say, at the moment I'm actually feeling okay, but the last few weeks I have been really struggling quite a bit, and it's to do with the coronavirus, as it is I think for many people. But I wanted to start back at the beginning to kind of give you an idea of how this progressed for me, because I know it might have been a bit different for you, or it might be similar to you. I'm really curious. But basically, back in March when things started to get serious with the coronavirus and we knew we were going to be locked down, I had started taking my new pill, and it was causing me to have some like mood swings. I wasn't feeling super safe on my own, so I moved back in with my parents for lockdown. I spent 9 to 10 weeks there with them, which was fine, and that wasn't actually too difficult for me. I think like we could see there was going to be a light at the end of the tunnel, the cases were going to come down, and then we would be allowed to have more freedom again. So those weeks were not fun particularly, but they weren't the most challenging that they could have been. So then our lockdown ended around sort of end of May time, early June, and in June I started fostering again, so obviously I can't really talk about that, but clearly that meant I was busier, so that was another distraction and has been ever since. And then we sort of got into the summer holidays, and the rates were really low here for the virus, and it wasn't normal. We had more of a sense of normality, I think, than we'd ever had before, and that was kind of nice. So that wasn't really something that was stressing me out, and I wasn't really thinking about it too much. You know, we could see the death rates rising, obviously in lockdown. That was quite scary to watch, but I don't think it hit me as much then. I don't think I was ever really scared of getting coronavirus and dying from it, partly because of my age, even though I have some underlying health conditions which do put me at high risk for it. I don't know, it was just never the thing I was the most worried about. But then as we came into the autumn time, like September, October, the second wave came here and the rates started to rise again. And I have become a lot more anxious recently because there's been a huge, not huge, but there's been more of a focus on long COVID, and that has been what I've been really anxious about. So if you followed me for a while, you will know that I have Lyme disease, and I was really sick when I was 15. That's actually when I started this channel. And so for me, hearing about long COVID and the symptoms people were suffering for like weeks and months, I was like, oh my God, that's a chronic illness. You know, if you've been through a chronic illness, you'll be very familiar with a lot of those symptoms, and they talk about it lasting weeks and months, and I think most of us who've ever been through a chronic illness can say it's going to be years, really, for some of those people. It doesn't, weeks and months is no time at all with a chronic illness. It can take a long time, if ever, to recover from it. And the thought of going through that again, after I went through 4 years of Lyme, was terrifying to me. That's when I started to get really scared. Like, that was more terrifying to me than the thought of dying. I think because I was like, my God, I'd rather die than go through that again from COVID. Like, it just, that was really terrifying to me. So then I started to be really, I mean, I'd always followed the rules and I'd always been cautious, but super cautious. I mean, I've got a really good relationship with my family, my parents, so I've always been close with them. But I think I've only met one other friend of mine in person, and you know, we stayed social distance. We have some new rules that came in recently here in London, so we're under tier 2 now, which basically means we can only we can't have anybody in our house unless they're in our bubble. We can only meet people outside, but this was before this had happened. I'd gone to meet her in a coffee shop, and we were still really careful with each other and wore our masks outside and everything. So it was, yeah, I don't know, it started to wake me up a bit, and I was getting really nervous about it, which is unusual for me because I'm not an anxious person in general at all. And like I said at the beginning of the virus, I was very sort of pragmatic about it, I think, in my head. I'm someone who sees the, you know, I'm very much an optimist. I see the positive and challenging situations of what this opportunity it could be, all that sort of stuff. So this was quite new for me to feel this way. And I think also because there's more of a focus of it on the news, and we were having to watch the news because the rules kept changing depending on where you were in the country, so you needed to keep up to date with what rules and stuff you were under. So being exposed to that certainly didn't help, and that's, I think, one of the reasons I've been feeling better the last week, because I've really tried to switch off from it as much as I can, and that's kind of helped me be realistic about it of, okay, we're going to follow the rules, we're being careful anyway, we'll do what we can, and we'll just keep our fingers crossed, as well as doing, you know, the sensible things that we're supposed to be doing. And hopefully we'll get through this. And also I think I've just accepted that the reality is we're going to have this virus for probably at least another year. Even if we get a vaccine by the end of this year and it's approved and what have you, to get it manufactured in the quantities and the number of people inoculated with it in order to create herd immunity so life can return to relative normality. And you know, you can't just inoculate one country, it's got to be the whole world, because we're, you know, a connected world now. That's going to take at least a year, if not longer, in reality. So I think it's just coming to terms with that and going, okay, we're just going to have to do what we can in these times. And also the way that my brain works is to focus on the positives, like I said before. And so I went through this really big dip, and that's okay. You know, it's okay to feel low, it's okay to struggle sometimes. And I think that's another reason I watched this video, is to create, you know, that's important that you understand it is okay. And as I said, not a lot of people like to talk about this stuff. And I'm somebody who's very sort of proud and headstrong, and I don't like to talk about it either, and accept that I can, you know, have these moments, but I certainly do. But now I sort of come out that side, one of the things that my brain does, and I don't know why I do this, but it helps me, is to think, how could this situation be worse? And I thought of things like the war, and when we had to worry about bombs dropping on our houses, and we had to worry about sending our children, you know, to the countryside, evacuating them, and were they going to come back to us, and all sorts of things, and people going off to war and dying fighting. And you know what? I'm very lucky. I think most people do have a roof over their heads. We have warmth, we have food, we have to have our food rationed, we have our kids, you know, living at home with us. I'm sure some people are wishing they would be evacuated, but generally speaking, you know, most people are happy with that. And yeah, we have some restrictions on our lives, but to me, I feel like that could be worse. As long as I follow precautions, everything, I am probably safe, and that's a huge thing to think about. And even today, there are people who live in war zones who are having to live with the realities of, you know, their homes not being safe. So I think that's how I kind of calm my brain down to think, actually, this could be a lot worse. And if I do these simple steps, actually, things will probably be okay. So yeah, that's why I've been a little bit AWOL the last few weeks, as well as just being, you know, busy with life in general and stuff. And I think also another thing that had me worried was because of the impact of coronavirus affecting other businesses, and after we had furlough end here, I think a lot of people's jobs became more insecure. That obviously has a knock-on effect to other businesses, mine in particular. So then I'm worrying about, you know, is it going to be viable or not? And it's just not a good time to be making those decisions. I'm very lucky because I'm self-employed and I'm not a limited company, so I am entitled to the grants that we have here for self-employed people, which has made a big difference. So that's been great. And we are still selling, like I still have a business, and many people don't have that, so I'm really grateful that I am in that position. But obviously, if you're ever concerned about how long is this going to go on for, how do you plan for that, all those sorts of things, that is going to be a worry for any business owner anywhere. So I'm sure many of you have also been in that situation, worrying about your income and stuff. So that added to the not so fun time of being stressed. But yeah, I hope you enjoyed watching this video, guys. Let me know how you've been feeling about everything that's going on. I know this is a very controversial topic, and any stupid comments I will probably delete, so just be warned up front. But yeah, you know, I think it's important to talk about times like particularly now, mental health and everything, and how it's affecting people, and to make sure it's okay to know it's okay not to be okay. And sometimes you have down days, and that's completely normal. And sometimes we go through rough patches, and that is normal too. But thank you so much for watching, guys. Do please subscribe. And also, if you've watched any of my other videos, I talk about reusable menstrual products. And if you're interested in trying some high quality cloth pads, be sure to check out my website, Precious Stars. The link is down below. And I believe we are currently in stock of all the rainbow budget kits and some mixed size starter kits too for the Sparkle range, which is quite rare that we have all of those in stock at the same time, because they usually sell quite quickly. So just to let you know about that, they are linked down below too, so if you want to check those out, be sure to do that. Thank you so much for watching, guys. I hope you're all doing okay, and I will see you when I next see you. Bye everyone.